Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. The state will now step in and review the investigation surrounding Selena Not Afraid's disappearance and death.
Now, that news coming amidst questions surrounding the search and investigation that lasted 20 days before the 16-year-old body was found about a mile from where she was last seen on New Year's Day.
After an official request from Bighorn County Sheriff Pete Bighair, the state says it will review the case.
In a statement, DCI Administrator Brian Lockerbie tells Q2, quote, "We will be in further conversation with the sheriff and the other agencies involved in the investigation and will begin reviewing all investigative materials and evidence."
Lockerbie continues on to say one of our primary roles in a tragic incident like this is to help provide an external professional perspective. The results of our review often assist local agencies with their ongoing investigations and provide direction for a future course of action.
Also, in a separate letter from Attorney General Tim Fox to the Crow Tribe Chair, Fox says hopefully the forensic analysis will yield more information about the circumstances of Selena's death.
Selena's funeral and burial were this past Sunday in Hardin.
Well, the most contentious topic the Billings City Council has seen in the past decade has new life.
The controversial discussion on a non-discrimination ordinance for Billings drew big crowds and harsh debate back in 2014 before it was finally rejected. Now Councilwoman Penny Ronning is bringing it back to the forefront.
Q2's Mitch Laggy talked with Ronning today to learn more. Mitch.
Russ and Jeanelle, the first thing that's different about this effort is the name. Ronning isn't calling it a non-discrimination ordinance. Instead, she's calling it a welcoming diversity ordinance after the Billings City motto. Former council member Brent Cromley introduced an NDO in October last year, but later withdrew. Ronning thinks the ordinance would bring economic prosperity to Billings by making it a more welcoming place to live.
Even though the ordinance definitely has legal language in it that, clearly states that discrimination is not acceptable and would be against the city ordinance, it really is about making Billings a truly welcoming community where all people and businesses can succeed. And so that's why I'm calling it a welcoming diversity ordinance.
On February 24th, the council will vote whether to put the NDO on the agenda for the March 23rd meeting. To read more from Ronning, find this story at ktvq.com.
All right, thank you, Mitch.
Well, Montana Attorney General and Republican governor candidate Tim Fox names his running mate today.
Today in Belgrade, Fox introduced former state representative John Knoche of Bozeman. The 38-year-old Knoche works for John Deere and served a single term in the Montana legislature.
Fox is one of 3 Republicans running for Montana's open governor seat in a hotly contested primary, and Knoche says Fox is the one who can win.
Montana Republicans know that Helena is stale and bureaucratic, and we need to get a leader in there to make reforms. The question is, which leader can we get in there? And Tim's a uniter. Last time he was on the ticket, 54, 56 counties, he won them all.
The primary election is June 2nd.
MTN News will bring you complete in-depth campaign coverage as the races unfold in the Big Sky State. The 3-man Republican primary for governor will perhaps be the most watched race across Montana. And tonight, that's where MTN chief political reporter Mike Dennison begins.
Republicans have made significant gains in Montana the past decade, but when it comes to the governor's chair, they've been on the outside looking in for almost 16 years. Now, 3 men each say they're the person to end that dry spell. Congressman Greg Gianforte, Attorney General Tim Fox, and State Senator Al Olszewski. Gianforte, a wealthy high-tech businessman from Bozeman, has been raising scads of money to fuel his campaign and says his business background is his strong suit.
What I hear is people want business experience in Helena, largely so that we can have a stronger economy, so that there are better, higher wage job opportunities for Montanans.
Gianforte says he'll unveil a business plan this spring to boost all sectors of Montana's economy. Fox, however, has taken aim at Gianforte, calling him a divisive figure who's more likely to lose the general election.
Let's not squander another opportunity to get a Republican in the governor's office by having a polarizing figure who has demonstrated an inability to win the governor's office, even despite spending $6 million of his own money.
He's referring to the 2016 election when Gianforte was the only Republican candidate to lose a statewide race, falling to Democratic Governor Steve Bullock. Fox says he's been able to work with people of all political stripes to achieve significant goals as Attorney General, such as strengthening DUI laws or increasing funding for drug treatment courts. Fox and his supporters also allege Gianforte is pushing unrealistic and harmful cuts to state funding for education and other vital programs.
There is fat in government, that's for sure, but across the board, 30% slashing of the state budget, I think Montanans know that that's unreasonable and would be detrimental to the state.
Gianforte says Fox's claim is false, although Gianforte is proposing to freeze state funding and use any surplus to cut property and income taxes.
We need to hold the line on the massive growth we've seen over the last decade and use the surplus to let Montanans keep more of their hard-earned money.
Olszewski is supported by many conservative state legislators, but has struggled to raise money, in part, he says, because Gianforte's camp suggested he might drop out. Olszewski dispelled that talk by officially filing 10 days ago and says he's more than a spoiler in the three-way race.
I was in this race before Congressman Gianforte jumped into it. I would say we should flip that around, that he is the spoiler and he's rightfully taking away my chance to win this primary.
Olszewski is pitching plans to boost natural resource development and use that tax revenue to reduce property taxes. He also notes he's the only military veteran in the race, a big voting bloc in the GOP primary.
It comes down to votes to win this race. Whoever has 55,000 votes wins this three-way primary, and I'm fighting for every one of those votes.
Conventional wisdom says Gianforte is the favorite, but we have 4 months until Election Day. A lot can happen between now and then, and we'll have a lot more to report on this crucial race. At the Capitol, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
All right, thanks, Mike. And the three Democratic candidates running for governor will face off in Billings for their first debate. Lieutenant Governor Mike Cooney, Whitney Williams, and House Minority Leader Casey Schreiner will take part in a forum sponsored by the MSUB Democrats. That takes place Wednesday, February 12th, beginning at 6 p.m. in MSUB's Petro Theater, and it is open to the public.
Republican Representative Dale Mortensen of Billings passed away this morning. Mortensen was finishing his third term after first winning election in 2014 to represent parts of the Billings Heights. In 2015, he was the lead sponsor of the bill that established a state crime lab in eastern Montana. Mortensen was born in Helena and also worked in law enforcement in Bozeman and Hardin. The Yellowstone County Republican Party plans to seek candidates for Mortensen's replacement next week.
Senators spent hours today questioning Democratic House managers and President Trump's defense team.
The issue of whether to call witnesses to testify hangs over the impeachment trial. Skylar Henry is on Capitol Hill.
Attorney Alan Dershowitz put a new twist on defending President Trump.
If a president does something which he believes will help him get elected in the public interest, that cannot be the kind of quid pro quo that results in impeachment.
Senators began their allotted 16 hours over 2 days to question President Trump's lawyers and impeachment managers.
Nixon was going to be impeached for far less obstruction than anything that Donald Trump did.
Lead House Manager Adam Schiff pushed back again on the Republican claim that removing the president is a subversion of democracy.
It is not voiding the last election, it is protecting the next election.
The most unsettled question remains calling witnesses.
Any conclusion that doesn't allow witnesses and documents is going to make the president's acquittal, if that should happen, worth very, very little. Zero.
Senate Republican leaders are trying to block witnesses and new documents.
If witnesses are called by the House managers through that motion, well, the President's counsel would have the opportunity to call witnesses as well.
But a split within Republican ranks could open the door to testimony.
I'd like to hear from John Bolton because I think there are questions that I have that he could answer.
The administration is also moving to block the former national security advisor's new book from being published. CBS News obtained this letter from the president's National Security Council to John Bolton's lawyer, saying the manuscript contains top secret level classified information that may not be published or otherwise disclosed. If senators split on the witness issue, Chief Justice John Roberts would have to decide whether to cast a tie-breaking vote. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
And Bolton's lawyer tells CBS News he responded to the letter saying the Bolton team does not believe any of the information in the book could reasonably be considered classified.
Now turning to Q2 Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Earlier today, you were talking about another shot at snow moving into the Billings area. Where is it at this hour?
It's about that far away on the radar map. Let me show it to you. We go to Doppler radar. Look at that thing. Starts in Havre, goes all the way down past Bozeman. It's like over in the next county over there, over in Sweetgrass County. So it's just a matter of time. It'll be making its way into the Billings area. Check this out. Here's what our high-resolution forecast model shows. That whole batch of snow will continue to push its way into the Billings area, maybe about 1 a.m. tomorrow morning or this morning coming up. So then it'll stick around throughout most of the morning, and then by 6:30, the thing's out of here, and we're looking at mostly sunny skies moving back in. Then on Friday, it looks like another batch of moisture starts moving in, maybe some scattered rain showers. But how much snow are we talking about? Not a lot, just some light snow showers. It's caught up in the jet stream, so it's going to zoom in and zoom out fairly quickly, so we're not expecting a great deal of snow. Just if you leave your car out tonight, it'll probably get spotted up if you washed your car like I did this weekend. Put it in the garage tonight. Back to you guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Bob. Well, more than 200 people turned out this morning in Great Falls to help search for a missing woman. But as of tonight, 34-year-old Amy Harding Perman has not been found. Cascade County Sheriff Jesse Slaughter says volunteers, along with law enforcement, covered 14 miles of search area and located key information today. They're not saying what that information is, however. Now, Harding reportedly got into an argument with her boyfriend on Sunday night, allegedly assaulted him, and then left the home headed toward the river.
Yellowstone National Park officials say a woman was attacked and bitten by a coyote while she was skiing in the Canyon Village area. Happened Tuesday morning as that woman was skiing on the Grand Loop Road near the South Rim Drive. 43-year-old woman was taken to the Canyon Visitor Center and treated for lacerations and puncture wounds to her head and arm by rangers.
Still to come on the 10 o'clock news, Montana ag groups expressed mixed feelings after President Trump signed the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement.
And in sports, Rockies women shoot to avenge a 2-point loss to Carroll 2 weeks ago. Scott will show us how it ended at the Fortin Center.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.